is the D&D Dummy Club. All right, welcome back. This is a special edition little Dummy Club, the D&D Dummy Club round table. We got one of our old gaming friends, Tim Hoffman's here. Welcome back, Tim.
Awesome to be back.
Yeah. So today we're just going to talk about like our D&D experiences, or role playing for that matter, if it's not D&D, how we got started, and just shoot the shit, so to speak. You can get to know us as players more and whatnot. That being said, our friend Hoffman here, he's played with us throughout the years. He's been a friend of mine for a little over 30 years now, I believe it has been, right?
Yeah, pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, because my oldest is 27,
Yeah,
and I knew you a couple years before he was born.
Remember him when he was a little table biter.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you taught him to bink heads with me. I wasn't happy. Oh, yeah, Devin.
I thought that was Kyle.
Both of them. He would say it too. I hated them. Yeah. One of the gaming nights, I was holding Brandon when he was a baby. Or not an infant, but he was like 1 or 2. And they said, "Hey, Brandon, bink heads." And he zotted me right on my nose.
Oh, on the nose?
Oh, God, I remember that now.
It was rough. So, that being said, I guess I think we'll start with the left with Devin. And tell us about how you got involved in gaming and being a part of the D&D Dummy Club.
Well, mine actually is pretty short because I never really gamed when I was a kid. I mean, just board games with family. That's pretty much it. I was more of an outdoor kid. Didn't really have any interest back then. But I guess it was, about 5 years ago?
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago when we started playing Magic?
Mm-hmm. Oh, 7, ain't it?
Seven? Magic, yeah, about 7 years ago.
I met Dave first. We both worked together. And then I was introduced to Dave, Sean through Dave because, Sean needed computer assistance.
Well, before that, before Magic, we played online.
Oh yeah,
Everquest.
Right. I forgot about that.
That was like
Everquest. That was what? Years?
No, longer than that. That was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Because I've been married for 18 years, so that I met you a couple of years after that when I moved into Marquette.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Dave introduced me to Everquest, and we started playing a little bit. Oh yeah, the first experience when we met. I was playing. We were what were we at? We were in the hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in the hole, and Dave was basically helping me with my character,
Power level.
Yeah, basically power level.
So cheating?
No, not exactly. Because I was a new player.
And fortunately, when you met me, I was part of what we called the Fun Police.
Yeah. So I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm killing whatever. And I turn.
Choo choo.
I turn around and I see this. What were you? You were a lizard. I think.
Ixar.
Yeah, Ixar. That's right. And he was wearing monk robes, and he runs right up to me, and then all of a sudden I see him keel over and fall to the ground. I'm like, what's this? And I turn around and Dave is gone. Dave is fucking out. And,
I read the writing on the wall. I said, "Oh shit! I got that thing. I gotta."
I turn around and I see this darkness coming towards us.
A fog of army of
he must
monsters.
The entire freaking zone, and it landed right on my forehead.
Yeah.
That's how I first met you.
I used to do that to your guys' friend Tom a lot too. He would set his guy up AFK in the hole, and whenever I'd see him down there, I'd look, I'd sneak up, I'd check it out. I'm like, oh, he's AFK. So then I'd run around the zone, grabbing every monster, and then I'd bring it right down, and then I'd slowly like overpower him with monsters because his pet would be fighting,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I was like, let me test this. How many can he handle? So I give him 2 monsters. Oh, he's good with 2, 3. Ooh, he made it. Let's try 4 this time. Nope, can't do 4. I just brought 20.
Yeah, you were really good for that. Well, yeah, after that, we actually met in person. Started fixing some of your computers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we did Everquest for a while. We did we even did the Star Wars, the Old
Star
Republic.
Wars: The Old Republic. Yes, a fun game.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then after kind of got bored with that, we started playing Magic. So from that, because I never knew how to play that either. So.
So who introduced you to Dungeons and Dragons?
I've heard about it. I've always seen it, but I've never played it. But I think it was. Let me think. It was one of you two. It was either Dave, you or Sean.
Oh, you started playing here.
Yeah,
right?
with us.
Yeah.
With our group.
Because we were transitioning. We were like, hey, why don't we bring back some old school D&D?
Right. Yeah. So it must have been one of you two. Probably you, just because.
Yeah, I had the conversation with everybody at the same time.
Yeah. And then.
And Dave's eyes lit up like a little kid, like he was 16 again. He's like, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And ever since then, been learning. Still a learning process. I'm getting a lot of it down, but it's been pretty fun so far.
What do you enjoy the most about it?
The complexity of the campaigns, like it'll be very interesting depending on what we decide. It's almost very similar to kind of like a real life fantasy situation, especially with. I mean, I know D&D is normally like paper and pencil, but we set this up to where it's more visual, and it I feel like it's turning out to be like a really interesting thing, just the way we have it set up. I like that you can still pretend, but if you're having trouble with like, okay, what kind of area we're in or anything like that, it's right there on the screen.
Right. It helps with your imagination picturing something.
Right. I mean, like even my 11-year-old is like, well, isn't that just paper and pencil? And because she's seen a little bit of it, and I'm like, yeah, but we play it like this, and she thinks it's pretty. I mean, all kids think it's a little nerdy, but she thinks the way we have it set up is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is that we wanted to bring it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's like a year and a half ago when we first talked about going back to role playing. I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, man, if we do this, I mean, we can. And this is before I even knew like about like Critical Role or these other guys that are putting their stuff online. I was like, man, we've got a great group of guys, and we can do this because we have fun with it. I mean, we've been doing this for a long, long time.
Yeah, and then my love for tinkering with shit, and you're like, well, I was thinking about building a room down here. As soon as you said that, I'm like, ooh, yeah, we could do that. We could build out a pretty decent sized room down here.
Yeah.
And that day, I think it was that night we started measuring up the walls and
Well,
stuff.
before that happened, when we were gaming in the other part of of our
on the other side.
other side,
Yeah.
and you guys were all here for that. That was when my wife said, "Well, hey, why don't you sell all the gym equipment? Because this area that we're in was actually a gym at one time."
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Sell all that gym equipment, and use that money, and build yourself the gaming room that you guys want." And so I said, "The great idea."
Done.
Except no one was expecting me to sell the gym equipment in 3 days. I don't think Devin was expecting it. Nobody was. Because I said, hey, everything's sold, and I'm going to go get the material for the
Yeah,
lumber.
because you called me. Because it was like, hey, I got all that gym equipment. So I'm like, what? yeah, let's go get some lumber. Because remember that one night after we gamed over there, we drew it out,
Right.
and I was adding up how much material that we actually needed, and I'm like, okay, it'll be a few months. You'll have to get that, equipment sold. You called me like,
And you still have the photos of like our blueprint that we drew
Yeah,
up. We got to put that
I
online.
think I'm gonna give those to Dave, because I got a lot of pictures of just how the room progressed. We can probably put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because I think people would be interested in just how we did it. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I think, there's a couple things I could have done a little bit better. But
Well, there was amateurs building it, so
yeah,
I think it turned out real well.
Yeah. For
No.
what we've
Totally.
got, it's turned out amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very proud of all you guys for everyone's help with everything. So
and just for you wondering, any electrical, there was a licensed electrician working on that.
disclaimer.
Disclaimer, there was a licensed electrician.
Yeah, we did not cut any corners when it came to building this gaming room.
Yeah. Well, the power alone, that was with as many monitors and PCs that we have in here, we needed a lot of power.
And it's for me being like an old school gamer since hell, back when chainmail was, they were little pamphlets. Seeing you getting involved in the game and your enthusiasm, it reminded me of like when I was younger, learning about the game and like finding out new stuff. It was like a kid in the candy store, like, oh, really? They got that flavor too? Like you can do this?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
I actually started getting into a lot of the classic stuff, seeing like a lot of the older books, like that book right there on the table is a lot of the original stuff that they first started coming out with.
Yeah. Trust me, I want to kill myself when I see all the things from like the Dragon magazines. If you haven't seen that book yet, Tim, you should check it out. It's a good buy. You can pick it up at Target. It's where I got it. It's got all the artwork, the original artwork.
ODNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
very cool.
I was a big fan of. There was a magazine series called Dragon Magazine, and this is before the internet, guys. So what that was is that was your source of information. Like if you wanted to learn about different changes or other ideas that you could actually like homebrew. No one ever heard of home brewing back then. So Dragon Magazine would have these periodicals that would bring new classes or subclasses and stuff. So it was it was like an exciting form of media for us to get that next issue of Dragon Magazine.
Critical hits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the critical hit chart when that came out, that just blew
The
my mind.
ecology of the owlbear, stuff like that. Or if you're going to be like, I want to build a bard druid. Well, it's not a normal build, but they'll tell you what you would name it and how it would actually work and why that character would be a bard and a druid.
And I could remember when because this was before the Oriental Adventurers book came out. This was like a good 3-4 years before that came out for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Dragon Magazine had a ninja class in one of their issues. And I was like, oh shit, I can be a ninja? Man, sold. I was sold. And my buddy Chris Pemple, who lives in California, he hated that I used to play a ninja because I was always like ninjing up smoke bombs and all that bullshit.
And that's the really cool thing about it. It's like when we first started playing and we got most of the room done and we were playing that first campaign, I was basically taking all the rules from the original book, from the player's handbook. And when we set up for this, because this is technically like my second campaign, I found just a plethora of different things that you could do and use and characters, like because there's such an expanded universe.
Well, yeah, you didn't realize that there was different sets because like
Right.
we're playing right now. We're playing in 5th edition, our current game that you can find online with us through the D&D Dummy Club, and that's 5th edition.
Yeah.
It is a homebrew. We'll do a little extra things with it, but it's 5th edition, and you were looking at I think 3.5.
Yeah, I was looking
Stuff.
at 3.5, and I had the perfect character, and then all of a sudden I realized that
of course it was the perfect character.
I couldn't couldn't use anything from 3.5, so I had to go back. And luckily, at least because I'm playing Warforged, at least the Warforged is still legal in 5.
Yeah, just some slight changes.
Yeah, slight changes to like the armor stuff like that. Because in 3.5, oh my god, I can like morph my armor class anytime I rest and stuff like that. That would have been so pimp.
I remember when we were at work and you were telling me something, and I looked at you and I'm like, man, I don't know that. I'm gonna be looking at that because that shit seems a little too powerful, man. I'm like, maybe I should. As a dungeon master, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have told him.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized that there's that. What's that one book? And it's 3.5 or 5e, but most of the stuff that's in there you don't use for 5e. You can't. Dang it, I can't remember the name of that book. But that's where that morphing armor comes from, like that the way I can rest and changed from light to mid to heavy armor. But everything in there is you really can't use it for 5e.
Right. Hey Dave, tell us about how you got started. What do you remember of your introduction to Dungeons and Dragons?
Man, learning D&D was with you.
Right.
I think we were freshmen in high school or something like that.
Oh no, it wasn't. I was.
You were a freshman.
I was a sophomore, and you. No, I was a junior, and you were a senior.
You sure?
Yeah, because I moved back here from California my junior year.
Yeah. So I think you had said something. I'm like, okay, let's.
Well, no, dude.
Let's play something.
I remember how it was. We were playing Zelda.
Yeah,
on Nintendo.
Zelda. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I mean, we would actually. This is off the record, but we would actually skip school. Do we have to worry about any ramifications from your parents? I know it's been a long time. We would skip school, and my mom would call in for both Dave and myself. So she would call in twice. She would call in for Dave and pretend that she was Dave's mom, and then she would call in for me, and then we'd play Zelda all day. Because that's
or Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah, and Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So
you're really dating yourself.
I am old, dude.
I was like the co-pilot whenever he would play Zelda. He would control stuff, and then I'd be like, "Okay, we got to go over here for this heart, and we need to raft." And
Or we would have never beat that game. What do you mean? There's a secret door here?
Yeah.
I don't see shit.
What was that? There was a magazine. I think it was like Nintendo Power or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Nintendo Power.
And they published a full map of the original Zelda.
Oh, it's huge. We had it.
Oh, I actually after a while I framed it. I had it on my wall for a long time.
Oh no, ours was all worn out from opening and closing
it. Yeah.
No, we got to get here. Yeah. We played that but that's how we started. We were playing Zelda, and I said, hey, this game is kind of like Zelda.
Yeah.
And then I introduced Dave to the game because when I moved back from California, I didn't have any buddies here that played other than Keith Flint, but I didn't really talk to him because he was older than us. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Keith was off in the Navy. So that's why I didn't have any other gaming friends. And there was no internet then for us to rally with other local players. I mean, you had to pretty much go to the game shop and catch people at the local game store. Back then, the only one in the area was Leisure Hours.
Yeah.
Or you had to go to Walden Books.
Yeah.
Walden Books is where you could get Dungeons and Dragons stuff at Kmart when Kmart was in business.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they sold the box sets, the red box and the blue box. Because
actually, if I remember right, I think Toys R Us had the red box and the blue box as well.
Yeah, Toys R Us carried Dungeons and Dragons,
and they had the figures too.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat there. I do remember though, you introducing me to Fred Dahlmeyer because he played with a different group, and these guys actually interviewed us over the phone to see if we had enough experience to join their group. This was back in 1988 when this happened. They interviewed us and they asked us all these questions, but back then we were so good with with the advanced rules, whatever you asked us, we knew what page it would be on. And that's page 67 or whatever. And they apparently were impressed with our lore of the game. So they allowed us to join their group. Now, I'll never forget going there to their house.
Steve's basement.
Yeah, it was in Steve's basement. They had all these candles lit. And that's where I got the inspiration for this guy here, for this skull. Right? Because we go down in the basement, and the dungeon master shows up, this real skinny dude named Rich. And
everyone's taking out their books.
Yeah, everyone's taking out their books, and then Rich pulls out this human skull and BOOM! Sets it on the table. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Are we sacrificing a goat? I look over at Dave, and Dave's like, dude, this is some heavy shit. Like, what kind of game are we?
We ain't in Kansas anymore, Soto.
We thought we were good, like, gamers then.
Right.
These guys were like next level. Like, man, they were probably like the first guys that really like got into role playing, where I got to see what role playing was, not just rolling dice, but getting involved in your characters and whatnot. It was pretty cool. So, that being said, Hoffman, how did you get started? I'm curious to hear your story.
It's kind of funny. As far back as I remember, maybe 10 years old, a couple of friends, one on either side of me, they both managed to get I think the box set for Christmas or something like that. And we'd hang out, and I'd flip through the books and learn a couple things here and there. And then my buddy's like, okay, let's play this. You want to play this? I read enough. And like, okay, cool. And we have a lot of fun. Like back in the day, you're 10, 9, 8, having all sorts of grade school sleepovers and crap like that with the guys, watching horror films. And a couple of my buddies, they actually run D&D and whatnot. And so one of my fonder memories of that was my buddy had just finished running a solo campaign for me. And I said, all right, that's my turn. I'm going to give a whack at it. It's like, okay. So I remember coming up with this adventure where he had to search for pieces of this, like, anvil, basically. And they were all split across the world. And what it did was made magical, like, +2 weapons and armor. Once you had it, like, together, it would make anything that you would dream of. A lot of off script from the book stuff, but it was more theater of the mind and imagination, and those definitely were my imaginative days. Excuse me, but yeah, that was cool. That was a lot of fun, and then there was maybe some gaming through grade school. I don't remember a lot of it anymore, but high school, that was when I met our friend Jazz, and
that's who I met you through, right? Was it Jazz or was it Doug?
Well, it would have been Jazz because I knew Doug later.
Yeah.
Through
Okay.
you guys.
Well, yeah, because I knew Doug for years.
And then we joined the War Council over there at West, and that was just like at the end of every day or 1 or 2 days a week. Boom, start role playing different games and stuff like that, and. We had a friend that did a lot of running of Traveler, so I learned a lot of that. And
yeah, I remember that game.
Then our one good friend Rudy, he would run like D&D all the time. He was already out of high school and all that, and had his own apartment and everything. And it was so funny because it was his games. We all enjoyed them for the most part, but it was stupidly Monty Hallish because he'd give you whatever you wanted, basically. You'd be like, oh, I want to play a succubus. Okay, sure. Let's figure that out. What are the stats? Okay, boom. Level 3, you're sporting like, a Vorpal sword and all this insane stuff that a level 3 should never have.
Right.
But then again, he's putting against monsters that you just can't defeat. So it's like, what the heck? I got all this stuff. And you amp the monster up times 20. What the heck is this baloney about,
Right.
It was humorous, but yeah, I mean, and then from there, just off and on again, Then we all got older and it got a little harder to do it, so. But, yeah, like now we're all a little bit older, even more so, and we're finding ways to make time for that and whatnot.
I
Yeah.
didn't get any older though. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. I know, like for me, I originally got introduced to the game when I was in the 4th grade, and that was a long, long time ago. And the guys that were playing it, they were all in like junior high and high school. So I was like the youngest kid of the group, but I just gravitated towards the game because I was just like, whoa, and that Frazetta piece that I have on the wall, you guys can't really see, was that art was in this guy's house that we played at, and he was like the bad guy in this guy's game, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool, and I would like have dreams about it, and it was intense, and then we moved back from California because I lived in California a couple times in my life. And first time I moved to California, it was for my dad's job, and we were there for like 2 years, and then we moved back. So when we moved back from California, my neighbor friend named Keith Flint, he lived across the street. He played Dungeons and Dragons. But right around the time when I moved back, then that was when the stigmata of all the church groups saying that Dungeons and Dragons is
The Tom
Satan's
Hanks
game.
movie.
Yeah, Mazes and Monsters.
Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah, Mazes and Monsters.
Oh,
you gotta watch it. It's like Tom Hanks' first movie, actually, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his first movie.
Really?
Before he did Booze and Buddies, he was in this.
Oh wow, really?
Oh yeah.
So, the spin back in the early 80s was that the game possessed you and made you do, like, sacrifices and it's all kinds of crazy shit. And it was so bad. I laugh now. Because even to this day, I'm sure my aunt is still the same way. Whenever my aunt would come over, I would have to hide my Dungeons and Dragons books. Because if she knew that I was playing, that she would give my mom 20 miles of shit. And the only reason why I was allowed to start playing Dungeons and Dragons again was because Keith Flint's mom, Donna, her and my mom became good friends, and Donna said, "Oh, Dungeons and Dragons really helped Keith with his schoolwork and being able to remember stuff."
Right.
And my mom was like, "Well, if you can get your grades up, I'll let you play Dungeons and Dragons." So I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Because I always found school boring. Listening to the teachers nag and all the BS that was a part of the curriculum back then. So I had a reason to do good in school. So I like bumped up all my grades, and then I, got to play Dungeons and Dragons again. And then we had I was a part of several groups playing, but more memorably for me was the games that you and I were a part of on Wheeler with Teddy, Rodriguez, Brian Scheidt, and Rich, who we originally got interviewed by. He was our dungeon master then, and then
He had such an expansive world. Just
yeah.
everything was on paper and maps, and I want to do this. I want to go there. Whoosh, you bust out. It's like,
Extension?
Huh?
Was it an extension of the actual?
No, it was his own world.
yeah,
It was his own world.
yeah.
It literally made like Matt Mercer's thing look like junk. And I'm not knocking on Matt Mercer. The guy's got an amazing thing that he's doing. But this guy Rich that we played with, and this was back in the 80s, like late 80s when this was going on. He literally had written out and like mapped this huge world map, and then like everything was broken down, all the different cities and all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
And
Like-
we played for, I want to say, a good like 3 years straight with that group. Because Fred was in the group.
Yeah, Fred.
He was the only one that we can honestly say was a practicing Satanist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his thing.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
You
then-
you wouldn't know it by like talking to him, really.
but he
I
didn't-
think I know Fred. He also ran, didn't he?
He like ran his own game.
In his basement of his house or something.
He
was.
No, up in,
He was married.
He ran a game, but it wasn't in the basement. It was upstairs.
Yeah, he lives in an apartment building upstairs.
Yeah. He was a cool dude. I mean, we got along
Jamie.
fine with him.
Jamie.
Jamie.
Who was I think
Jamie was
Fred's
friends with Fred. Is that his cousin?
cousin?
Maybe?
I thought he was.
Maybe.
Thought he was somehow related.
Yeah. But we had a really cool group, and that's
Yeah.
like, I open invite to like. I talked to Teddy the other day. I said, "Hey, man, I mean, he lives in Southern Illinois now,
Yeah.
so I say, hey, you ever want to come up and sit in, dude? You're always welcome." And same with Jamie. Jamie would like to check it out. So at one point, we may have some of the other OGs of gaming.
I think I might actually know
take
Teddy
us-
if it's who I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you might. But yeah, those guys. It was a lot of. We had a lot of like fun memories and that. And then like my younger brother used to play with us.
Oh,
and
his
he-
buddy John.
and yeah,
oh
John.
My God.
They would make characters, and their characters were always out to kill whoever else was in the group. And then those characters would get killed every week. And then next week, there would be a relative to that character that got killed.
Wanting
Who was
revenge.
Wanting revenge for
McClintock,
death.
McClintock Cool 59.
No,
A fenching angel
Yeah,
or
it was,
something.
it was
Yeah.
a Fenching Angel 357 McFlame. I swear to God, that was my brother's character's name, and we will never forget that ever. In fact, I'm sure at some point you guys may run into a Fenching Angel 357 McFlame,
He's gonna die.
and he's going to kill your character. Yes. He's going to be sent in because you broke off another piece of a table or did some kind of crazy shit. And
But
you're
to
gonna-
shorten it up, he's just going to be called Bob this time.
No, he's going to have his whole name. I'll role play that out.
Oh my goodness.
I'm playing my character.
Hey, you're doing fine. I mean, hey, as a new lover of the game, I think you've come a long way. I mean, you're doing a great job with it. I mean, it's nice to see new people interested in the game. I run into people all the time when we're out and about, and
Yeah, you get a lot of love when somebody like the hat. People love the hat.
yeah, when we wear our merch, So I mean, any of you guys are interested in what we're doing, you can, obviously
Contact
find
us
us on.
something.
Yeah, you can find us on
Facebook.
YouTube or Facebook. We also have a Patreon account.
Mm-hmm.
You can
support.
you can support us there, and through Patreon we offer some really cool things. You can support us, and there's different tiers. The highest tier, you get to create your own NPC that I will role play in the game, and maybe that NPC, maybe you might want them to try to take out the group, or maybe you want them to be something else. You let me know, and I will make that happen. And then you also get a free T-shirt out of the deal. So,
Yeah.
But hey, I think we're gonna call it quits here. We appreciate you guys checking our show out. Remember, hit that like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. Tim, we appreciate you coming in and sitting in with our round table.
Yeah, thanks for having me over. Man.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
always, man. We love having you as a part of our show. It's never a dull moment.
It's always fun to reminisce.
Oh hell yeah, dude! And we plan on doing more of these to come. So this one was just about how we first got involved in the game, and maybe you guys also have your stories that you'd like to share.
Next one will be something else. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Share, comment
Yeah.
on our Facebook page.
Yep.
Maybe we'll you'll see it online.
Thanks again, guys, and take care.